Nigeria, often called the giant of Africa, is a nation of immense cultural diversity, resource wealth, and a dynamic population of over 200 million people. But how did this nation come to be? Today, we are diving into the colonial history of Nigeria, a complex and often painful chapter that has shaped its present-day political, social, and economic landscape. From the arrival of European powers to independence and beyond, we'll explore the impact of colonialism that continue to resonate in Nigeria's identity today. Let's get started. Before the colonial era, Nigeria was a tapestry of powerful kingdoms and societies, including the Benin Empire, the Oyo Empire, and the Sokoto Caliphate. These societies had established trade networks, cultural systems, and governance structures. But in the late 15th century, Portuguese explorers arrived on the West African coast, initiating contact with the region that would later become Nigeria. This contact marked the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade, which had devastating consequences for the Nigerian people. Millions of men, women, and children were forcibly taken from their homes and sold into slavery. The kingdoms of Benin and Oyo participated in the trade, exchanging captives for European goods like firearms and textiles, which further destabilized the region. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, it is estimated that over 12 million Africans were transported across the Atlantic. A significant portion of these enslaved individuals came from areas that are now part of Nigeria. By the late 19th century, the transatlantic slave trade had waned, but European interest in Africa had not. The Industrial Revolution created a demand for raw materials, and European powers turned their attention to Africa's abundant resources. The 1884–85 Berlin Conference marked the formal start of the scramble for Africa, during which European nations divided the continent into spheres of influence. For Nigeria, this meant the establishment of British control. By 1900, the British had effectively taken over, merging various regions into the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria and the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria. In 1914, these were amalgamated into the Colony and Protectorate of Nigeria. This unification was done without regard for ethnic, cultural, or linguistic differences among the diverse groups in the region. The British employed an indirect rule system, governing through local leaders and traditional institutions. While this reduced the cost of administration, it also entrenched existing divisions and often empowered elites who served colonial interests over their own people. But colonial rule was not met without resistance. Figures like King George of Apobo and the Egba women's protest against taxation exemplified the defiance against British policies. These acts of resistance highlighted the growing discontent among Nigerians. The 20th century saw the rise of Nigerian nationalism, fueled by educated elites who demanded self-determination. Leaders like Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, and Ahmadu Bello emerged as champions of independence. The turning point came after World War II, when colonial powers faced pressure to decolonize. In Nigeria, constitutional reforms paved the way for greater self-governance. Finally, on October 1, 1960, Nigeria gained independence. Independence was a significant milestone, but the legacy of colonialism left deep scars. The arbitrary borders drawn by the British lumped together over 250 ethnic groups, leading to tensions that persist today. One of the most glaring consequences was the Nigerian Civil War, or Biafran War, which erupted in 1967. Rooted in ethnic and political divisions, the war claimed millions of lives and underscored the fragility of a nation still grappling with its colonial past. Economically, Nigeria's reliance on oil, a resource heavily exploited during the colonial period, has created challenges such as corruption, environmental degradation, and a lack of diversification. Despite these challenges, Nigeria remains a nation of resilience and innovation. From Nollywood to Afrobeat music, its cultural contributions have gained global recognition. Today, Nigerians are reclaiming their narrative, addressing past inequalities while striving for a more united future. The youth-led #EndSARS protest of 2020, for instance, demonstrated the power of collective action in challenging systemic issues. Nigeria's colonial history is a story of exploitation and resilience, division and unity. Understanding this history is essential to appreciating the complexities of Nigeria today. What lessons can we learn from this past, and how can they guide us toward a better future? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Thanks for watching.